In January 2017, Azaru went for a hike in Broga Hill, Malaysia. But by the end of the day, he was nowhere to be found. Where did he go? No bruises. When asked what happened to him and where he went, he said he was taken by 4 elves to Alam Zara.
For generations, the rainforests of Southeast Asia have carried stories that sit uneasily between folklore and lived experience. These are not tales told only to children or preserved solely in old manuscripts. They are stories repeated by hikers, villagers, search and rescue teams, and families who insist that something happened to them in the jungle. Something that cannot be explained by injury, weather, or simple disorientation. In Malaysia, these stories center on a figure known as the Orang Bunian. The name translates roughly as the hidden people. According to traditional belief, the Orang Bunian live alongside humans, occupying the same forests, hills, and mountains, but in a realm that is normally invisible. They are said to look human, though more refined, more luminous, and often dressed in white garments adorned with gold. Some accounts describe pointed ears, unusual facial features, and an absence of the philtrum above the upper lip. They are not monsters, nor are they spirits in the conventional sense. They are described as a parallel people, bound to the forest itself. For centuries, these stories were treated as myth. But in recent years, a series of modern disappearances has forced authorities, researchers, and the public to confront an uncomfortable question. Why do so many accounts follow the same pattern, even when told by people with no connection to one another? One of the most widely discussed cases occurred in January 2017 at Broga Hill, a popular hiking destination in Malaysia. Unlike remote jungle interiors, Broga Hill is well known, frequently visited, and considered relatively safe. Families, tourists, and casual hikers ascend its trails daily. It is not the sort of place where someone is expected to vanish without explanation. That is precisely what happened. A young hiker named Muhammad Azaru went missing during an afternoon hike. Search teams were mobilized almost immediately. Volunteers, police units, and rescue personnel scoured the area. Trails were checked repeatedly. Nearby hospitals and villages were alerted. There were no signs of a fall, no discarded equipment, no footprints leading away from the paths. For 7 days, Azaru could not be found. Then, just as inexplicably as he had vanished, he reappeared, sitting on a trail in the same area where the search had begun. He was dehydrated, but otherwise unharmed. No broken bones, no deep scratches, no evidence of exposure consistent with a week in the forest. When questioned, Azaru did not claim to be lost. He said he had been taken. According to his account, the environment around him had changed suddenly. Fog descended, and his sense of direction disappeared. He encountered a young girl dressed in white who beckoned him to follow her. She led him to a large cave, which he described as the boundary between the human world and another realm known as Alam Zara, the domain of the Orang Bunian. Inside, he claimed to have met a family of 4, figures he identified as Orang Bunian, who provided him with food and shelter. He said they spoke to him, prayed with him, and treated him respectfully. Most strikingly, he believed he had been there for only 3 days. In the outside world, 7 days had passed. Time distortion is a recurring element in Orang Bunian lore. Many traditions across Southeast Asia describe the hidden realm as operating on a different temporal scale, where days may pass as hours or weeks feel like moments. Azaru's experience, whether interpreted literally or psychologically, aligns precisely with that belief. After repeatedly refusing a proposal of marriage from one of the beings, Azaru said he was suddenly returned to the human world. He remembered a snake falling onto his chest and delivering a cryptic message before he found himself back on the trail. Authorities did not endorse his explanation, but they also could not provide a conventional one. the case remains officially unexplained. Azaru's story might have faded into obscurity if it stood alone. It does not. 2 years later, in March 2019, a far more disturbing disappearance occurred during the Gopeng Ultra Trail race in Perak, Malaysia. The event involved nearly 500 experienced runners competing along a clearly marked route. Among them was a 29-year-old ultrarunner named Ashraf Hassan, known to friends and family as Acha. Ashraf was not a novice. He was physically fit, familiar with trail conditions, and had completed similar races before. Witnesses saw him at multiple checkpoints, including the 6th checkpoint, approximately 20 kilometers into the course. Photographs taken during the race show him in good condition, assisting other runners. Then he vanished. Despite an immediate and extensive search involving police, firefighters, K9 units, drones, and hundreds of volunteers, Ashraf was never found. The trail itself was examined repeatedly. Organizers stated that it was virtually impossible to become irretrievably lost on the route. There were no signs of injury, no torn clothing, no blood, and no remains. As days turned into weeks, reports emerged from search participants describing unusual experiences. Some claimed to hear Ashraf's voice calling out from the forest, only to find nothing when they followed the sound. Others reported smelling food being cooked, an aroma traditionally associated with Orang Bunian lore and believed to lure humans deeper into the forest. Audio recordings later surfaced, allegedly from individuals involved in spiritual search efforts. In these recordings, it is claimed that Ashraf was located but refused to return, choosing instead to remain in another realm. The authenticity of these recordings has been widely debated, and no official agency has validated them. Still, their existence added another layer to an already troubling case. Ashraf's family, particularly his mother, publicly pleaded for answers. Video footage shows her calling out into the forest, urging her son to follow her voice. Years later, there has been no closure, no body, no definitive explanation. From a purely rational standpoint, such cases invite conventional interpretations. Dense forests are dangerous. Disorientation can occur quickly. Injuries, exposure, and wildlife encounters are real risks. Psychological factors, stress, fatigue, hallucinations can play powerful roles. Yet even when these explanations are considered, gaps remain. Why are bodies sometimes never found despite massive search efforts? Why do multiple witnesses independently report similar sensory experiences, voices, fog, unfamiliar smells, across different incidents? Why do these stories mirror traditional beliefs recorded long before modern media could influence them? Anthropologists have long noted that nearly every culture has its own version of hidden people. In Japan, the phenomenon is known as kamikakushi, where individuals are said to be spirited away by forest beings. In Europe, folklore speaks of elves, fair folk, and woodland spirits who lure travelers off established paths. In Celtic traditions, time distortion and alternate realms are central themes. One explanation is symbolic. Such stories may represent the human need to explain sudden loss, especially in environments where nature remains overwhelming and unpredictable. The forest becomes a canvas onto which fear, grief, and uncertainty are projected. Another explanation is sociological. Folklore provides a framework for caution. By warning of unseen beings, communities teach respect for the environment, discouraging reckless behavior in dangerous terrain. But there is a third possibility, one that neither endorses nor dismisses the experiences outright. It is possible that Orang Bunian stories preserve observations of rare but genuine psychological and environmental phenomena. Dissociative episodes, temporal disorientation, auditory hallucinations, and altered perception triggered by isolation, humidity, low light, and stress. Over centuries, these experiences may have been codified into narrative form, passed down as cultural memory. In this view, the folklore is not false, but neither is it literal. It is experiential. What cannot be denied is that the stories persist, and they persist because people continue to experience something they struggle to explain. Modern search technology, satellite imagery, and forensic methods have not eliminated these mysteries. In some cases, they have made them more unsettling. The Orang Bunian, whether understood as myth, metaphor, or misunderstood reality, occupy a unique space in Southeast Asian cultural consciousness. They are not invoked lightly. They are spoken of with caution, respect, and restraint. Perhaps that is the most important detail. These stories are not told to entertain. They are told to warn. The forests of Malaysia are ancient. They predate recorded history. They have swallowed rivers, reshaped mountains, and outlasted civilizations. Whether the Orang Bunian exist as beings or as beliefs, they represent something very real, the limits of human control in places where nature still dominates. Whether the Orang Bunian exist as beings or as beliefs, they represent something very real, the limits of human control in places where nature still dominates. And in those places, people still disappear. That alone ensures these stories will not fade away anytime soon.